Hi, in this video I'm going to go over 5 of Brown's 14 morphemes, and I have grouped these 5 together as structures that are associated with nouns plus the 2 prepositions. So we have plural s, possessive s, the articles, and prepositions in and on. We'll start with plural s. So in English, to make a noun plural, we add an s to the end. For regular plural, this would not include irregular plurals such as children, people, or teeth. And some examples would be the S in lives, on 9 lives, the S in students, the second S, these students, or the S in copies, new copies. And notice that orthographically, these are all represented by the letter S. But when we listen to it, it's actually 3 different phonemes that can be plural S. So we have the S sound, like in cats, the Z sound, like in dogs, and the IS sound, like in boxes. So these would be referred to as allomorphs. There are 3 different phonemes, but they all represent the same morpheme, which is plural S. Also, this category would not include words that can't alternate with a singular form, like scissors. So the S on the end of scissors isn't the plural S because you can't have just one scissor. All right, and some other common forms of this would be groceries, pants, clothes, always, sideways, upstairs, downstairs, measles, words like that. So if you're checking to see if it really is plural S, you would just want to see if you can make it singular. And if you can't, then that would not count as a plural S. So if a child were to omit this morpheme, they would say something like, we got to cat. And that would be an obligatory context for the plural S, and it was omitted. Okay, so next we have the possessive S, and this is added orthographically with an apostrophe S. So this would be like the apostrophe S in mommy's shoe or the dog's collar. Notice again this has the different phonemes, so there's allomorphs that all make the possessive S morpheme. One thing with this is plural nouns with possessive S are written with only an apostrophe. So if I wanted to say my son's room and I had just one son, it would be S-O-N apostrophe S, my son's room. If I had 2 sons, 2 or more sons, I wanted to say my son's room, it would be S-O-N-S, that's the plural S, and then just an apostrophe at the end. So orthographically or in writing we can see the difference, but listening to this in speech we would have to have context to know if it was a plural plus possessive S. Also, just as a side note, names that end in S are pluralized with an apostrophe S. So you would have the Joneses' house or Gus's car. And an example of a child omitting the plural S morpheme, or I'm sorry, the possessive S morpheme, would be if they said something like that mommy phone, which would be an obligatory context for the possessive S. So had they not omitted it, they would have said that's mommy's phone. All right, so next we have the articles an, and the. We just have 3 in English. So an examples of these would be the big worm with a green head sat on an apple. And we have the definite article the and the indefinite articles and an. So a definite article would refer to a specific noun. So one that's already been brought up in context or one that we all know. So say if we're talking about the dog, that might be the family dog. And, you know, I could be talking to my husband about our dog, and I would call it the dog. An indefinite article, or an, would refer to a more general noun. So if I just saw a random dog running down the street, I would say, I see a dog, rather than the dog. And an example of an omitted article, a child might say something like, I see dog. And so you know the article was omitted, but to know whether it was the or a, you would need some context. All right, next we have the preposition in. So an example would be ball in cup or picture in the book. This does not include the verb particle in, such as if you were to say something like please come in or don't give in. So a way to tell if this is truly a preposition or if it's a verb particle or adverb is whether or not it has an object. So if in is being used as a preposition, it will always have an object. So in picture in the book would be the object of the preposition. If it doesn't have an object, then it's being used as a verb particle or an adverb. And an example of a child omitting the preposition in would be put baby tub, right? So they omitted the preposition in. It should have been put the baby in the tub. All right, and finally we have the preposition on. An example would be book on table, kitty on the couch. Again, this would only account for the preposition, so we would not include verb particle forms such as come on, the on and come on, let's go, or adverb forms such as he turned the light on. And again, you can use the same rule. If there's no object, then it's not a preposition. So to be used as a preposition, it would have to have an object. So like the book is on the table would be the object of the preposition on. And a child who is omitting the preposition on might say something like kitty couch, right? When what they meant to say was kitty is on the couch. All right, so there's your first 5 morphemes, and in the next video we will go over the next 5 morphemes, which cover the verbs and the verb inflections.